Balls. Yeah.
I don't know. That one sounded like we were a little bit off from each other. Not positive.
Think so?
It felt like maybe just a little bit off.
Darn time delay.
Well, we'll see. We'll see when we listen it back up. Anyway, listeners, welcome back to the Kilted Balls podcast. We're so glad to see you again. Hopefully we're coming across loud and no buffering and all that good stuff.
The last episode sounded good. I think it was just the one time we tried to do the other thing.
Yeah, for sure.
The issue.
Except now I've got like my screen all like messed up all over. So that'll be weird. That's me being sad.
No, man.
That was a weird, I was alt-tabbing to my other stuff and it, got frozen on the screen. So, oops. My bad. Anyway, people, hopefully you all had a great week. Kilted, you bought a pool.
Yeah. So, well, we had the leftover pools from when I was thinking about breeding fish, and so I bought a whole bunch of just little kiddie pools from Dollar General, and I had some fish in there. It was okay. I didn't love it, so I stopped doing it, and we just put them in aquariums. And so the kids were playing in that, and Tristan and his girlfriend, they had like a little bit better crappy pool that they were playing in. So, and of course the kids were really jealous. And it was just whatever. We bought it. We have a slip and slide. I just can't find it. And just they can play. The lake is, there's a state park literally 10 minutes away. For when nice. School's over, there's a beach there and all that stuff. But we go to Aldi, and it was actually in, I heard it was in the Aldi Aisle of Shame, although I didn't see it there. But we just happened to see it. I'm like, $50 for a little outside stand-up pool. It's 30 inches tall and 10 feet wide. So I'm like, okay, that's good. That'll be fun. But then what they do, they get you, because I'm like, I just don't want to throw it on the concrete. So, of course, I have a ton of pallets. Mm-hmm. So I lay out a bunch of pallets, and then I go buy the green carpet, and I put the carpet on there so they can, wipe off their feet, and then it doesn't get as dirty and stuff. So it looks a little bit nicer, and we filled it up yesterday, but they didn't have a chance to swim in it today.
What? Why not?
It didn't come with a ladder. I'm sitting there last night, the sun was going down. I'm just sitting there. Everyone's asleep inside, and I'm looking at it, and it's filling up. I'm like, how are they going to get in and out? Right now, I can't lift. I can't barely lift anything.
I was going to say, just throw them in. That's the issue.
Yeah. So, I bought a ladder. It's supposed to be here tomorrow. But, yeah, they'll have fun. It'll be a good time for them.
You could just put boxes on the outside. They could just jump in.
That's true. And then how will they jump out?
No, they don't need to get out.
Oh, just leave them in there.
They can just swim
and
all the time.
You went camping this weekend, so is that a great time?
Yeah, it was a great time. The weirdest part before camping, Thursday, and I think I told you this. Maybe I didn't tell you guys this because it might not have come up in conversation. But my tooth, I was eating dinner Thursday, and I was eating something soft, I was just picking at food. I wasn't really eating yet. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, man, there's something weird in this food. And I reach out and pull it. I'm like, it feels like a tooth. I'm like, that looks like a tooth. I'm like, that's weird. And I'm showing it to my wife, and she's like, that was in the food? And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, wait a second. I'm like, that's my tooth. And my tooth broke right in half and fell out.
It looked crazy. When you sent that picture, it looked crazy.
Yeah.
There were no nerves, though, sticking out?
No. They think, just over time, my body had been, repairing that area over and over. And so it had made, a cover kind of over it. And the nerves had gone further down as the cover just kept on building. And then today I went in and they, kind of fixed it up a little bit. They were like, you're going to need a crown, but we'll just get it fixed up. So I went all weekend with it like that. And by today, I was like, oh, yeah, that's totally normal. Not even thinking about it. But, the assistant lady today, she was like, "Oh, so you cracked a tooth?" And I'm like, "No, it's like broke off." She's like, "Oh, you had a little bit break off?" I'm like, "Yeah." And she like looked in, she's like, "Oh, no, that's like broke." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's what I said." I'm like, "I said I broke half the tooth off." And she's like, "I didn't realize it was broke like that." I'm like, "Yeah."
She thought you were exaggerating.
I know. But so they went through and they did all the work. And what it turned out, and this was kind of funny, but like, he's like in there and he's like, filling it in and he's shaping it. And he's like, "I'm going to grind it down so that, if you're chewing on stuff, you won't be able to put pressure on it." But then he's doing it. He's like, "Actually, I'm grinding down that top one too." And he grinds down the top one. And I'm like, "Was it the top one that broke the bottom one?" And he's like, "Yeah, look at this." Like, he goes, "If you look at your x-ray, you can see there's a part of your top tooth that was like pointed and sticking down, and it just kept digging at that tooth and eventually just broke through the bottom tooth."
After 40 odd years, it's like, okay, I give up.
Yeah. I'm like, well, it's nice to know that the only thing strong enough to break me is me. So
that's good.
Like,
that's a good sign
for that.
That's super awesome.
Yeah, so it was good because I was only trying to eat on one side of my mouth and not let anything go to where the broken one was, just because I was scared. And so I spent the whole time like cautiously eating on that side, and it meant I ate really slowly, and I think that was probably healthier for me. I
was like, it's probably weird. You're like the last one done eating.
And I'm like, this is taking me so long. Like, I'm taking little bites, and I'm slowly eating. So, that was good. The weirdest part of all of this, maybe it's not weird to some of our listeners, but like, I'm like freaking out. I keep getting Discord notifications. It's making me mad. Like, they keep popping up on my screen, and I don't want them to. That's not the weird part. The weird part is like, what happens? Or it's like, "Oh, that sucks." She goes, "You're gonna eat dinner," and I'm like, "No, I'm like probably not gonna eat again." And she's like, Whatever." And I'm kind of like freaking out, and she's like, "Why are you like freaking out?" I'm like, "Because it could hurt. Like if I like eat something cold, or if I bite on it wrong, like I've heard that teeth are really painful." And she's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Well, being somebody who doesn't experience pain, I'm kind of freaking out about experiencing pain." And she proceeded the rest of the night to just be laughing and guffawing at me. Like, she's texting all the kids, "I found Dad's kryptonite. I found Dad's kryptonite. It's his teeth." Awesome. And she's just laughing at me. At one time, she's like, I'm like sitting there going, "Man, I wish the dentist would call back." She's like, "Call your mom, you baby." I'm like, man, I did not know this was the kind of love and support I signed up for.
I know, yeah, it's a great love and support.
And in reality, it's exactly what I signed up for.
So. And so did you have a fast at all? You did like an 8-hour fast?
Yeah, maybe 8 hours. Actually, today I woke up, and I had some coffee, and I was like, man, this is almost like a fast. And there was nothing really to eat, and I didn't want to try to find something. So then I went to work and stuff, and then I called the dentist at one point and said, "Hey, did you guys want to see me?" And they're like, "Actually, we have an opening at 10. We can check it out and stuff." And I'm like, "Oh, cool." So I go in, and they're like, "Is it like hurting at all?" I'm like, I go, "I think it's sensitive to cold and heat." And they're like, "You think?" And I'm like, "Well, every once in a while something cold will hit it, and it feels like I'm getting an electric shock." So I go, "Is that like pain? Is that the thing?" And they're like, "Yeah, that sounds sensitive." They're like, "So we're going to numb it up because we're going to be spraying cold water on it. So we're going to numb that up." And I haven't had my mouth numbed in like, it's been forever. Like the last time I had a filling done, they didn't numb me for the filling. And I almost fell asleep in the dentist chair during it. They were like, "You've got to wake up." And so like this time they're like, "We're going to numb it all up." And I'm like, "Okay." And so it felt like, they're like, "Can you feel it numb it up?" And I'm like, it totally feels like it's going to sleep. They're like, "Oh, that's good. Does it feel swollen and stuff?" And I'm like, it just doesn't feel right. Like I can't feel stuff there. And they start
Yeah.
like poking around and they're like, yeah, you must not be feeling stuff. And I'm like, oh, good. But then they're like, well, you can't eat like for a while. And I was
Uh,
like,
uh,
oh. So I'm like starving. And I'm like, well, I guess I'll have to go a couple more hours or 3 more hours. And finally, around 2 hours later, which was about 12:30, I'm like, nope, that's it. If I chew through my tongue, I chew through my tongue, and I ate some soup. And I'm like, blah, 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 trying to eat it. So, but it was
Yeah.
good. It was done, and I'm like, is it better now? And they're like, yeah, you don't have to worry about it. They're like, except
That's
don't
awesome.
chew hard things on it, and come back in to get it. Like we'll get a crown on it or something. I'm like, okay.
You're like, sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got it. I got in like a third. Actually, yeah, it was like 38-hour fast this weekend, which was nice.
Wow, that is like so long. Do you find these fasts that you're doing, are they like helping you to lose weight or anything, or is it just like normal?
I don't weigh myself, so honestly, I don't know. I like to think it's helping. Um, I think that it's. I have a belief that it's good for your body to go through a fast, anyways, here and there. Like I eat more than I really need to, anyways.
For sure.
So if I don't eat for a day or two, then it's not that big of a deal. The worst part for me after fasting is the explosiveness that happens when you eat anything for like the rest of that day.
Dang it. That would be sad.
Well, that's all right. Yeah, I was gonna go longer, but I forget what. Oh, because it was Saturday and then part of Sunday, and like I grilled out and stuff on Monday, so I was like, well, I'm gonna be eating tomorrow, so I'm gonna eat today.
So you don't notice yourself getting thinner though?
I don't know. I honestly don't look or anything. I mean, I look in the mirror, but I can't tell if it is. But I do know the last time I went into a doctor, like I weighed a lot more than I realized I weighed. So that's why it's happening more. Like with our friend Jason, when he talks about it, like he's measuring himself all the time. So
Right.
after he does a fast, he really notices it if he gets like a 2 or 3 day in.
Huh.
So I don't know. I think it's good self-discipline. It keeps me off of sugar for a couple days, and which is necessarily not a bad thing.
No. I imagine it's a pretty good thing. And I've heard a lot of health benefits of it. The reason I was wondering about weight is because, like, for my wrestlers, I have them do the opposite.
You have them eat like small meals all the time?
Constantly. I'm like, eat all the time.
Yeah.
Eat all the time. Lots and lots and lots. All the time. So, and even like when my own kids were like cutting weight, I'm like, you don't want to go without food for very long. You want to be eating little things all the time. And I remember telling them that, like, I tell my kiddos this all the time. I'm like, sumo wrestlers fast. Like, that's how they get big, is they only eat one huge meal every day.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's how they become. And they're like, how does that work? I'm like, because your body thinks it's starving. And so it stores everything because it thinks it's starving.
So the key is, for me, would be to, like, when I get done fasting, is just to eat a little bit small. And it just depends on the time. Sometimes, like, I'll fast and I'll eat, like, really good, like, the rest of that day, whatever day I stop my fast. And sometimes I'll eat a bunch of cookies.
Yeah.
Just depends.
Well, and that's why
whatever my feels.
Yeah. Well, and I had a friend, I mean, I guess I still have a friend, who does 16-hour fasts like all the time. And I was like, oh, I didn't know you did that. And they're like, oh yeah, all the time. They're like, it helps me to lose weight. And I'm like, does it? And they're like, yeah, I really think it does. I was like, oh. I'm like, cool.
That's like an intermittent fast. It's supposed to be good.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, yay.
But again, it depends on what you're eating the rest of the time.
Right. Well, that's why I'm not surprised whether people lose weight or surprised that they gain weight, because it's what you're eating.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
Like if you have a 16-hour fast and then you eat 2 meals, You didn't save yourself anything,
No, no, exactly.
you know. So I keep getting a notification for Doug Frashizi. It's come up 3 times in a row.
I keep on seeing it. Luckily, it's on a different screen for me.
I'm like,
So,
why is it
I
on
can't.
this
Did I
screen?
talk about it last weekend that I was going to have a procedure? I can't remember if I talked about it last
I
week.
can't remember either. I was wondering if you were going to talk about it or not.
So I got snipped this weekend, actually Thursday.
Nice.
So it seemed to go. It so they asked me if I just wanted the volume or if I wanted like laughing gas and stuff, and I was like, I really don't care. Like
Right.
whatever's easier. They're like, take the volume, which I didn't realize. Like I was thinking, like because I haven't taken that before. I knew like it was a relaxer, but I was thinking maybe it would help with like the local anesthesia and everything. And afterwards, I asked, and they're like, no, that's just to be calm because people don't like us working down there. So that was kind of a waste because I don't think I really needed it
Yeah.
because I was just like whatever. But it was cool. I could see this. I couldn't see what was going on because I was like in stirrups and it had like a sheet over me. But I could see the smoke coming up when they were like cauterizing. There's like a little smoke tendril. It was pretty sweet. On each side, I was laughing to myself.
So they just numb you up down there before they do the snip snip.
Yeah, it's a local anesthetic and.
Well, and you said something while you were recovering that I did not know, not being through this procedure before, but then it made sense. But you said that if you don't rest and take it easy, sometimes the procedure doesn't take.
Yeah, and so the science behind, I guess, like maybe if you're moving around and stuff, like maybe the cauterization can pop off, or that's the only thing that I could kind of think of. But yeah, it's 7 days that I'm not supposed to like lift, like do anything at all. So I've just been taking it easy. I mean, I'll do my orders, but the first day I didn't do any lifting. I'll do like a little bit.
Well, it made me think when you said that, like I always hear stories about people who it doesn't work for. And I'm like, oh man, I wonder why it didn't work. Like it seems like an easy surgery. Why would it not work? But then when you said that, I'm like, oh, those are also people who I would think wouldn't be able to sit there for 7 days doing nothing.
It's been really, really difficult.
Yeah.
Like especially this weekend was. I mean, I was thinking I'd find like a game to play and like play like Assassin's Creed or just something new that I'd never played that always sounded interesting. But I just ended up playing a lot of Civ. I watched a lot of movies and just kind of hung out and slept.
See, that's smart, and see that's it's just interesting to me because now I'm like, oh, I wonder how many. Like I'd like to know. I'd like to interview people who were like, oops, it didn't work. And be like
the people who don't work, that would make sense. Yeah, they weren't really resting and doing all that.
We had a person buy our journal. Did you buy another journal?
Mm-mm.
We had a sale. I think that wasn't you or me.
That is super awesome.
Woohoo! I know. Yep, and I've been working on another one, and I've got a few more ideas, so I'm excited. Though I didn't do any this weekend. Like I was like, I'm taking this weekend to do zero anything, and so it's pretty much amazing.
That's super awesome. You kind of got to clear and relax and do that. I'm like, honestly, with everything that's gone on, I'm super excited to like get back and to start working out and just like to be able to, even though I wasn't doing it before, but I think it was just like whatever. But now that I can't do anything, I'm like really, really itching. And even this week, I've already set my alarm at 6. I set up my cold plunge, which is not very cold. I forgot to put ice in it today.
Oh man!
So it was a little chilly, but not cold.
How long did you do it for today?
I was in there a couple minutes. Like it wasn't really uncomfortable.
Yeah, I don't even know if you are like at lake temperature, right?
Well, not Lake Michigan up in Traverse City. That was 42 or 45 when we were up there.
Right.
So I'll see once I do that. It did help because I kind of like where I have it, I can keep the minor heat from it.
Yeah,
which is nice. and it's getting a little chillier at night. It's getting into the 50s.
So it was also interesting. Your water comes out like 60 something, and the water here comes out like 58.
Okay.
So I thought, wow, yours is really warm.
Yeah, Jason's comes out like 70. I think he said.
What? That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
The water temperature, it says for Lake Michigan at the surface is 54 to 58.
Yeah.
So.
And what about the point?
Which point?
Up in Traverse City, the one that we went to that was super
that
cold.
one varies a lot depending on the wind.
Oh, okay.
So, like, it really depends on which way the wind is going. So, but it's, yeah, and, I've been up to Lake Superior, Whitefish Point, and that was like 30 something. I was in that, and that was cold. So that's why I can tell myself, whenever I'm like, I don't want to do an ice bath, or I don't want to do that, I'm like, actually, I've been in water that cold multiple times, and I'm pretty sure I could handle it.
Yeah, it would be awesome if I could find water that cold around here, but I really can't. I mean, Lake Norman is like 80 something. Like, it's so big, and a lot of it's not very deep, so it heats up with the North Carolina sun.
Oh yeah, probably for sure. Well, that's some of the shallow lakes up here. The girls and the cousins went out kayaking this weekend, and they said the water was super warm because one of them tried to jump kayaks with another one, lost their phone, and they're like, yeah, but the water was warm. And I was like, you idiots, like, you guys can't be trusted together. And I'm like laughing to myself because I'm like, how many times did I do that shit?
Yeah.
Like,
flashed it for a second.
Yeah, I saw that. It flashed. But how many times did I try to jump kayaks or jump canoes and flip everybody? I'm like,
but we didn't have phones to lose.
No, that's true. There was one time we did go with a phone, and I got out, and my Ziploc baggie was full of water. And my phone. I was like, dang it. But yeah,
that's hilarious.
There was one time where I stood for 2 miles kayaking. I stood up in the kayak. So.
Well, yeah. I guess we did have phones at that time. That was one of the last times I went up there.
Yeah. And it was fun to be like, you guys are so dumb, and laugh to myself that I'm like, oh yeah, I'd be doing that too.
Yeah. Because that's when I had the great idea of, I'm going to make a ton of Jell-O shots. And our friend is like, I have a tube you can put them in. So I'm thinking, okay, this is great. Not realizing the tube had a wrap around it. So you put all the Jell-O shots and the coolers in there, and it weighed it right down. So I had to paddle so hard that whole day.
It's a good workout.
I was so irritated.
Yeah,
the Jell-O shots were good.
We haven't done one of those for a long time. Those were fun. Fun, yeah, for sure.
Well, speaking of fun, I am not going to be seeing you this weekend.
Oh, so. You aren't?
And I was kind of debating on it. A friend of ours is having a little housewarming party, but it's gonna be really. I'm either gonna have to go by myself, which would be great, but just sneaking away and everything.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
It's gonna be difficult. That? It's this next weekend, and no one is saying anything about it. So I'm like, if no one's talking,
Saturday.
This Saturday. Yeah. So I'm like, well, if nothing's going on, I guess I'm not going, because I've asked twice.
Yeah.
We know one person's not going. It's a group of friends, and I would love to be there. I think it would be great to be there for that friend, and a new aspect of his life. But it's a little bit of the 10 hours is a little tricky.
Yeah, I'll probably go. I imagine I have stuff going on, but I think I can clear things up to go. So
sneak over there.
Yeah, Sunday is graduation, so I'm sure we'll talk about it tomorrow, right?
For sure.
So, talk about all that jazz, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's our friend's birthday today. Happy birthday for Sheezy.
Yeah, especially
to you.
Mm-hmm. I have a little bit. Mm-hmm. I have water today.
Nice.
So,
I have
stay
scotch.
Hydrated. That's good. Did you pick up any There's not any. I was going to say, is there anything up in that area? But there's not anything up there.
I mean, there's probably like a few things, but nothing worth like going out of my way for.
Yeah.
You know.
So I don't think I talked about it on here. Another thing. So I know I have when I bought it, I talked about it because it was like Pepe, which is a
Yeah.
cryptocurrency, was going crazy, and so I was like, okay, I tried to stay away from meme coins, but I did it, and then it went down instantly, and it was just in my wallet, and I wasn't paying attention to it. But it's like rising. I don't know if it's gonna, it's got a long ways to go. But I pulled my original investment out, and so that's cool. I
So
pulled my
now
original
everything's
investment
just
out,
all
and I'm still,
cash.
Yep. So it doesn't, it doesn't really matter what happens to it, but I'm just like watching it grow. Like, okay, sweet. So this is like kind of preparing for the bull market coming, like getting mentally prepared.
Yeah, I'm just stuck. I haven't done anything with our 36-step challenge. As
Mm-hmm.
listeners, you would know. I would have told you. But like, I just haven't pulled the trigger on buying anything. I'm just not feeling
Mm-hmm.
it, and I just trust those feels. So
yeah. I'll have an update next week because the end of the month is coming up.
yeah.
So I'm going to look at where I'm at. I haven't had an update in a while and let you know what step I'm at.
Nice.
So I'm pretty excited about that. Things have been going well.
I am very confident I will not be hitting the next step this month. Pretty sure about that. I mean, things could change, right? But
yeah,
like I've had some of my trades that are in the high 30s, and I haven't even pulled the trigger to sell those. I'm like,
okay, nice.
I'm like, nope. I still feel like they've got room, and now they're down to like 20%. So I'm like, man, that's the game. That's the game. I'm just gonna sit here and ride it.
I was closing stuff over 10 just to have it so I can count it. Like, okay,
yes.
I have this much right now, and then go from there.
Well, and I think that's what's slowing me down. I thought this the other day. I am, say, like $140 from the next step, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which isn't that much. But what I've noticed is if I'm like $30 from the next step, I'm closing shit all the time. It could be 3%. I don't care. Right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to get those dollars as fast as I can to get that last $30 to put me to the next step. And right now I'm like, all right, I'm like 150 away. I'm like, psh, I've got time. I can wait. And so I just sit there and wait. And I'm just like, yeah. But I really should probably be pulling it. But the other thing is I keep saying, you know what? I'm going to have time here soon. And then I'll focus on it a little bit more. And maybe I'll make some good trades. So
yeah, because are you done at the end of the month, or do you go into June?
Go into June. I think next Thursday. So
okay, so that's awesome. Yeah, you'll have a lot more time. It'll be really interesting.
Well, and like always, I keep pushing everything off till then. Oh, I'll start working out then. Oh, I'll start writing more then. Oh, I'm gonna read more then.
If you're gonna run, wait, what did you say was the Friday? If we were talking about possibly going to that festival, what did you say was the Friday? It sounded like it was something you had to be at.
I have a big race that day for my team.
Oh man!
So
because I was looking at it more, and I don't know if it'll happen or not, but it does look pretty sweet.
Oh yeah!
Like I listened to the ad. I was just watching the ad before. I'm like, I'm gonna click the volume, and I was like, oh, I probably shouldn't listen to this.
Well, and did you see, speaking of big releases, did you see the VCon list of speakers?
No, I saw the announcement that the VCon list of speakers was happening, but I didn't actually see the list. Did you?
Yeah, I looked at it. You had to click the Twitter, the X.
Okay.
The posting, and it listed them all like below. It like did like shout outs to each one, and it was a pretty good list.
I was gonna say, were you pretty excited about it?
Decently excited. Not super excited, but like there were people that I was like, oh, that'd be cool to see them, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah,
they weren't no Jessica Alba, but you know.
Yeah, I'm still up in the air, so we haven't figured anything out one way or another about that.
Me as well. I'm totally waiting on what you do, and then I'm gonna decide.
I need a decision from you that would help me a little bit.
Well, that's what I'm waiting on. Seeing what your fam's doing, and then I'm going to decide from.
I'm gonna get a rental car and just sleep in my rental car for the weekend.
I mean, that could be a thing. It could be a thing. Sleep in my rental car in a parking garage.
Mm-hmm. I've slept in worse spots before.
And even at your house, I slept in my van. I did not mind it. So
Yeah.
it was not bad. Oh my gosh, I saw Mrs. Buckingham last weekend.
Really? That's awesome.
Yeah, it was super cool. And we were talking about her daughter and her granddaughter because her granddaughter's like a great runner. But the funny part was, I'm like, oh my gosh, I love my life. But I'm like talking about her daughter, and she's like, yeah, she's flying back right now from Sweden or something. I'm like, oh yeah. And she's like, you know, those chemical engineers doing this and that. I'm like, oh yeah. I go, my daughter is going to be a chemical engineer right now. And she's like, oh, where at? And I'm like, you know, Western. I go, she's double majoring, like paper engineering, chemical engineering. She's like, that's what my daughter does. She's like that's the VP. Awesome. And she says it's all about networking. And I'm like, well, my daughter would love to pick her brain. She goes, give me your phone number. When I talk to her next, awesome. I'm going to give you her phone. I'm going to give her your number. I'm like, sweet. So
that's so cool.
Yeah, I was like, yeah.
And have you talked to Ellen like at all?
Oh my gosh, probably not in 20 plus years.
Yeah.
Right? It's been a long time.
Yeah. So. But still, like, it's those old connections. Like, you know, if someone were to reach out to me like that, I'd be like, yeah, let me give them a call. Like, anything I can do to help.
Yeah, well, and you know what? We were friends going through, and she's one of those people, just like our other ones, where I don't think time or distance affects that friendship.
Yeah.
I could be totally wrong, right? But in my brain, like, I imagine it would just be just how it was before that, so.
Yeah. That'd be super awesome.
Yeah. I talked to her mom for a while. It was so cool. And I told her that, you know, I still talk to you and Jesse and Heather. And she's like, that's so great. I'm like, heck yeah. I go, we all hang out. So
she taught me how to sew.
Oh my god.
Pretty awesome.
She taught me how to draw. I mean, she tried to teach me how to draw. Sorry about all that. So.
Yeah, because I had her for home ec as well as art class. I forgot about the art class. Yeah.
I had her for art.
Pottery wheel. That's awesome.
Heck yeah, it was so cool. Well, people, kind of a rambling
down memory lane.
What?
Yes, good times. I said trip down memory lane.
Oh, I know, right? Ending with the memories. Love that. Heck yeah. Oh, I got to leave you with something my daughter said the other day.
You wrote it down?
No, my wife texted it to me.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, oh my gosh, I've got to share this.
I'm like, are you that old? You can't remember?
Nope. Like when they went kayaking, I took a whole bunch of pictures to send to their mom so she could see it. And the water, by the way, was just like crystal, right? Like, I don't know if you can see. Like,
oh, that's awesome.
Right. Like, look how clear that water is. Yes, people, that's water you're looking at. That's not a beach.
Yeah, and you know it's cold. If you can see through it like that, it's really cold.
They said it was really warm, but that's warm to us, right? So
yeah,
60s would be warm to us for sure. And I'm like, so I sent that, and she was like, hey, thank you so much. I'm like, yeah, it's just beautiful. And she was, yeah. My daughter said, I love life. I've been born into a pretty amazing one, and I think about that every day.
That's awesome.
I'm like, right? You and I preach gratitude all the time. I'm like, man. I'm like, my daughter, living it. Living the gratitude.
Yeah. That's super, super awesome.
Keep that up. Because that's important, I think. So anyway, listeners, live a life of gratitude. Be happy, happy, happy. All the good things that you got. And I just heard a song about that. It was a speaker. And he was like, you know, at least you got your health. And if you don't have your health and you like lost a leg, be like, at least I still got one leg. And if you lose the other leg, be like, well, at least I'm still alive. Like, I'm like, there's always something to be grateful for, I think. Always something. So
always something.
Try to find that thing, people. Otherwise, this is Ballbuster signing off.
Guilty Dragon Jerry, love you all.